Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. I've been thinking about this video ever since I did that video on patrols. I'm not real big on saying this is how I would do it or this is what I think, because I don't want anyone to say, well, John said do it and I did it and all my people got shot and shit, it's the fan, right? So I just throw ideas out there, stuff for you to think about, and I want you to look at your world, because your world is number one. Your world matters most. So what I've come up with is a discussion, not about patrols, and I talked a lot about the bads of patrols and how it's not something we're going to need, or I would highly advise in Shit It's the Fan, because we're not militaries. However, in Shit It's the Fan, we're going to have home. It's going to be a command post. It's our bunker, right? And we're going to want to defend it, because what's in this area? In this area is our food, our water. It is our shelter. Right? In there we keep our clothing and our medicine, everything, our preps, our self-defense, right? So I wanted to show how I think we should really be concerned about defense. So I've got a lot of different scenarios up here on the board. Hopefully you can get the screen big enough you can take a look at it. But it's observation post. Observation post is going to be key when shit hits the fan. It doesn't matter whether you've got 4 people or 40 people, because the smaller your group is, the smaller this area is, the smaller your absolute territorial footprint is, and then you've got your extended footprint outside of that. Smaller group, smaller house, smaller area to defend, less visible by everyone around you. Conversely, the bigger your group, the bigger the structure, the bigger the footprint, that's your defensible area, and the outside footprint. You're going to be more visible to everyone else. So there's a lot of things that are really important to talk about when it comes to observation. Human beings, we take in 90% or more of our information with the eye. Right? The next most useful of our senses we have is our ear, right? So, when I was a jarhead, and that was, folks, a long time ago, okay, I enlisted at age 17, okay, that's when I enlisted, okay, and I enlisted for 4 years. That was a long time ago, but since then, I've done a lot of hunting, I've done airsoft, paintball, shoot your friend, I've done lots of hunting, right, screwed around, a lot of other things that make all this applicable. Anyways, it's been a long time, so I'm not trying to pretend to be a military expert with you guys, but I do have some experience, okay? And I want to share that with you. More than the physical experience I've had, I want to share with you the mental experience that this entails. So the observation post, for Shit It's the Fan, you're going to both see and hear. When I was a jarhead, we had listening posts and observation posts. Every post is listening and observation. You can't say, well, I heard something, but I didn't see him, so I didn't think about it, right? It doesn't make any sense. But, once again, there's going to be some rules, some general concepts. What is an observation post? Well, an observation post is an area outside of your normal defensible area, this red line, right? You don't want anyone getting in this red line, because once you get in this red line, supposedly, right, you're vulnerable, right? They can move in on you in a way that you can't defend. So we're going to say this area in here, right? This area in here, this is where we cannot have a bad guy coming. Okay, so we've got to keep everyone out of there. So your observation post is going to be outside of that. The purpose of the observation candidate, we'll call him, is to see someone coming far before they get to you, right? They can come from obvious directions, or they can come from directions that are not obvious. In any and every event, you want, if you can, if you have the manpower and the skill level and the equipment also, very important, you want as many of these as possible, as makes sense. And you've got to take into account the terrain you have, the main avenues or arteries, meaning roads, even large trails, dirt or paved roads, doesn't matter, you know, and then you've got to consider other ways that people would want to come at you, okay? But that's your main ones, the driveway or the road. There's your main avenue of approach that a concerned party that you want to see long before they see you gets there. Of course, the next would be trails, and then of course just cross country. You do not want to be surprised, trust me. Okay, so some of the things that the person in the observation post is going to need to be, they're going to need to be patient. They're going to be sitting there for however long that's their job. It could be 4 hours, it could be 8 hours, it could be 12 hours. Now I will say this, shit it's the fan isn't going to last one day, not 1 week. What you don't want to do is march people back and forth from your observation post every couple of hours, because there's going to be people who are watching and observing you. You've got to make that assumption, especially if you know shit it's the fan has become violent. If it's become violent anywhere near you, you can expect that violence to come to you, your bunker. So you don't want people to know where you're hiding out, where you're observing them from. You want to observe them, not have them observe you. Because if they've got ill designs, they will take your observation post into account. They may even kill your observer and then use that observation post against you. And that also is very critical. The person out there needs to be calm. Let's say you've got 10 people in your bunker zone, and you see 10 people coming from a wooded area. You do not want to get upset, right? You don't want to become animated. As the observer, you want to relay that information back here so they can get ready and they can determine what the best course of action and defense to deal with these 10 people is, right? If it's 10 versus 10 or 10 versus 20 or your 20 versus their 10, you want your people to be ready and know that they're coming. That's the whole purpose of the observation post is. And then here's another one, be still. The easiest way to see anything, whether it's an animal or a human, is movement. Right? Camouflage is great. I recommend camouflage clothing. And then accentuating or improving that by using whatever local brush is around. Maybe observing, right, wearing a ghillie suit so that you blend in. But movement is what attracts attention. So you've got to be still. You can't be swatting mosquitoes. You can't be spinning around and flicking your head side to side. Those tiny movements that we take for granted during the day, not a big deal. Those tiny little movements are visible to somebody who is now looking for any sign of movement. When you scan and you're walking, you're looking for movement. When you're hunting and you've got a tree stand, or you're sitting in the bushes or behind a rock or behind a log, you are looking for movement so that you can shoot the deer. People begin to go primitive and they'll look for movement. You've got to be still. Here's another one. You actually have to be observant. This goes with being patient, and it has a lot to do with your intelligence. It is difficult to sit in one spot and be calm and be still and be observant for hour after hour after hour after hour after hour. I mean, that's hours. How about minutes? Minute after minute is hard. From moment to moment, it can be hard. You're looking and you see nothing. You see no movement. You slowly scan, and you see nothing for hours, for days. You may never see anyone, but if you stop looking, if you say, well, I'm going to read a fucking book, right? Got me a nudie magazine. You're going to start looking at that. You just might miss. You never know, right? And if someone sees you in the observation post first, they're going to wait till you're looking down, till you're looking away. They might observe you and your patterns. It's going to be extremely difficult to man an observation post, right? Additionally, right, it's kind of hard to take a leak. It's hard to eat food, hard to get water, right? Tilting a canteen up, a little tough. Maybe that straw, right, going to your Camelback, available at thepreparedmind.club, to get your water is going to be a lot better move. Now, probably the most valuable tool that you're going to have in an observation post is a radio. So if you see something, you radio it back to the command post and say, hey, I'm up here on this little bluff and I look over at these trees and I see some movement in the trees. You've got to do that calmly. You've got to speak articulately and clearly. And hopefully you get your radio settings right so you can transmit, but you don't make so much noise that they hear you. Right? You've got to let everyone know back here what is going on. Now, I said you could be in that sucker for 4 hours or 8 hours or 12. It is my recommendation that whoever's in that observation post, they show up before sunrise and they stay till after sun sets. Right? And then you may have a night watch who goes up there with night vision. And I recommend the best night vision you can get. Okay? But that way, at the very least, people going to and coming from your observation post, wherever it is, they are not seen doing so. This is your stealth bomber. This is your stealth drone, right? This is your stealth. This is your recon. You know, we talked about with going on a patrol. A lot of that is to get reconnaissance, to get intel, to get information, to get news, right? And you also risk a lot by being on patrol. This observation post is going to be your recon where it matters most. Defending your home, your bunker, your command post, your whatever it is you want to call it. Right? So now let's talk about some of the areas. Okay? You could have a river to one side. You could have a forested area. You could have, like I said, a bluff. Some higher ground. You could have a ditch. How about an automobile, a road, or other buildings? All of these areas are ideal places to have an observation post. What you want your man to be able to do is you want him, your observation post. It's a good idea, especially when shit hits the fan, right? That he has line of sight with the command post to the observation post. Okay? You need to be able to see. Now, if you're radio, you have a radio, maybe you'll have a blind one where you can't see. Okay, but you may end up having to communicate with a flashlight. So line of sight, even in the day you can see a flashlight going. You know, blink, on, off, on, off, on, off. You can have a very simple signal, right? 1 flash, okay. 3 flashes, danger. 5 flashes, everyone fucking run, the military is coming, right? Whatever your code is, you do that. And your observation man could be required to do that every half an hour or every hour. And if he doesn't, you know something went wrong, right? Or he is pinned down and cannot give the signal, right? So once again, just an idea. Have a code every hour or a code every half hour or whatever you determine it to be. And again, right, you need to observe from your place back to the command post and then also out. That's right, looking away. So let's just say I'm in the observation post. Behind me is the bunker. And out in front of me is where we think the potential enemies would come from. I need to observe all of this mostly, but I do need to, from time to time, check back. The reason is some, none of us are perfect. Even if you're all these things, patient, calm, still, and observant, someone could slip by. They could be very stealthy. They could be small. It could be a small group of people. They could have just followed a natural ditch or some sort of low area and just got by you. You need to turn and look back. Then you need to watch your observation post. And again, your movements need to be very slow, very smooth, very calm, and make sure you do the job. This takes training. This takes time. No one is born, well, maybe someone is, but most of us are not born natural observers. We're usually doing shit, not just observing. No playing a game, observing. Okay, so let's talk about engagement. As the person at the observation post, your job, primary, is to see approaching danger, to warn people at the home base so they can be prepared. Now, person at home or the person in the observation post will determine, right, what is your role once you've identified a threat. Is it your job to remain silent? Is it your job, right, to be silent and continue to observe? Is it your job to get back? Is it your job to deter them, or is it your job to defend? And what I mean by that is deter them, fire a warning shot, yell halt, right? Take them out, right? Defend yourself, right? One of the big questions is, how stealthy are you? What kind of a shot are you? An observation post person can also act as a sniper. Now, I know everyone's going to go bonkers. This is not a military compound. We are not trained military people. We're regular, everyday people, right? We're regular, everyday people, and we're going to have to fill multiple roles, okay? There isn't a commanding general and all his officers. There is not a sergeant major and all of his staff NCOs and then NCOs and non-rates. We don't have a military operation. You've got to make do with what you've got. So if there's an opportunity and a need or requirement for defense that someone in your observation post take out a target, they better be a good shot. They better be, I put it down here, stealthy, and they better be a sniper. Once again, one shot, one kill. It's kind of a Marine Corps thing, right? One shot, it's harder to know where you're at than if you hear a bang, 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 you can identify, right? You start triangulating in. The enemy will know where you're at. So you want them to be a good shot. You don't want to wing the bad guy, right? You either want to hit him or you don't. Firing warning shots, deterrence, it's not a bad program. It's not. I'm not one of these people that says just kill every motherfucker that's out there. You know, if they're coming near you, they're bad. We don't know that. Right? We don't know that. You may have a lot of that, and then therefore you determine everyone is. That's one thing. You could have an area that is nothing but nice people, and then you see one bad person and you have to deal with it. We don't know. You're going to have to be the expert in your area. I always say that, and I'll continue to always say that. You need to be the expert in your area, whether you're in a city, the suburbs, the country, the frickin' desert, the mountains, right? Swamps, it don't matter. It does not matter. English, John. It does not matter. You need to make the call for your area. These are ideas. So, the observation post guy, he can be the deterrent. What happens if you fire a warning shot or yell halt? You've now given away your observation post to that person or people. That is what you don't want to give, right? Another rule of thumb you may have, not rule of thumb, another concept would be two people are approaching, you radio it in, they go out and meet them, and you in the observation post act as a sniper and you hold on the bad guys, potential bad guys. If they make a move towards your people or persons, or do anything aggressive, they get taken out by your sniper / observation postman. Once again, we don't have a sniper. We don't have alert. We don't have a recon team. We don't have, right, air support. We don't have all of that. We're regular people trying to defend our bunker area. Observation post, right? So again, covering ideas. You can deter, you can defend, you can remain silent. You can be the backup. You can be a sniper on offense. You can be a defensive sniper. You need to be patient, calm, still, observant, and be a good speaker. You've got a radio. You've either got a headset or a handheld. And you've got to speak clearly, enunciate, and speak good English, and be descriptive, right? They're down by the river. They're north, right? They're in the forest, right? They're off to the right side. You know, they're behind the car. Right? Wherever they're at, you need to describe it, who they are, what they look like, how many, etc., etc. So that back here at the bunker, everyone can take the appropriate action. And back here at the bunker, they can tell you what you need to do. Keep observing, get your ass back here, you know, engage them as soon as you can, whatever the determination is. So, where do we put our observation post? Right, I've talked about this little bluff, this little rise. The reason is elevated ground is easier to see from. If you're 10 or 20 feet up from the rest of the property, right, you can see everything below you. You can see the house, buildings, the bushes. You've got a good lay of the land. The negative part of this is anybody approaching with recon in mind may see that same place you're at as they may see that as where they want to be. That's why you want to be still and camouflaged, and then also, as I said, be looking out and away. Right, bunker's right here on the board now. You want to be looking out and away, and then you want to be looking back and across. The elevated position gives you a lot of options to look and scan the area that you live at, as well as away and out. Another place for observation posts. Say you've got a little bluff or a cut, a bank that the observation post, he can stand here and you just pop your head up and you can observe back and forth and sweep and look away. You've got, right, and you've seen these, if anyone who's been out in the country, a ditch, whether it's a foot or 5 feet or 8 feet, and you've got a ladder and you stand on top of a ladder and you look out and you may have a little plateau, right? Or if you're in the city, it could be a parking lot. Right, but what you're covering is an avenue of approach, right? The way that people come to you and you can see them. A little bluff or a ditch that you're in allows you to look out, and the only thing that sticks up is your head. Maybe just your nose and your eyes. Kilroy was here. That makes you a hard target for them to hit, right? You can, of course, look back towards the property. You're a little bit exposed, but again, where is your main danger? If your bunker's here, your observation post is here, and you're in a ditch, your main area of concern is away. Main area of concern is away. Other things that are useful as an observation post, right, would be a forest, a grove of trees, bushes, right, so that you've got natural camouflage around you. Once again, it allows you to look in maybe more than one direction, but if you're on this side of the trees, right, you can look back at your property more easily than you can look through the trees. You may be having a post behind them, right, so that rather than have, right, this line of trees allows bad guys to come in towards you. If you're on the other side looking out, you can see them coming before they get to these trees and get closer to your place. Grove of trees good, grove of trees bad. You need to take the initiative to use these terrain features. This concealment, you need to use it to your advantage. And the best way to do that is observation post, having someone out there. Once again, grove of trees. If I was going to try and get close to someplace, I would want to use a grove of trees to come up behind so that I could get close, look, see if they're dangerous. And I'm not an asshole. So I want to know, do I approach them or not? Right? I got all screwed up. I'm trying to make it back to my group, and I got to get some help for the night. And I think I know this guy, Jerry, right? And I want to get close and find out if Jerry's still there, someone else is there, if Jerry's just killing everyone, right? If there's bones all over the place, I don't want to get anywhere near Jerry. So I would want to use the trees. But if you've got someone in there, right, you will know before they know about you. That's the whole idea of the observation post, is to know about the enemy. And then listening as well. You can have someone on this side, the front side of the trees, looking everywhere, but also listening. You can hear people coming. They're fucking loud. They move too fast. They step on sticks. They talk to each other. They may not be bad, or they may be bad and stupid. You don't know. Until, right, and this again, I gotta point this out. We're in shit, it's the fan. Things are not good, right? That doesn't, stupid people are out there. It doesn't mean they're gonna wise up all of a sudden just because it's time for, defense, it's time for shit hitting the fan activities, right? So trees are good, trees are bad. Use these things. Another terrific way to defend things is an automobile. And I got a little car right down here. There's an observation post. You can sit in the car. Okay? Your head is up and above. This is the one bad part of the car, is your head is visible through the windows. Windows down, windows up, doesn't matter. But you can make observation from outside of it. You can tint the windows. You might take netting, camouflage netting, back netting, and you're behind it. Now you're behind a screen and you can look out. But a car seat is comfortable. Okay? Being in a car limits your initial mobility if you need to GTFO. Get the fuck out of there. Right? But the steel doors, engine, hood, everything around you does a lot for you. It protects your body in case someone sees you and decides to shoot you. Car is a good observation post. And you'll say, but that's so fucking obvious, John. Well, in the city, no, there's cars everywhere. Right? And if you've got a really good observation person, it's going to be eyeballs above only. It's going to be a much smaller, harder person to see. And if there's cars everywhere, it's hard to see who's observing you. In the city, there's buildings, there's windows. We're going to get into that next. So car is good, but you have to determine how good is it and then take every advantage you can to use the resources around you. Once again, a river, a creek, a stream. A lot of times with streams, they're very hard to cross. They can be deep, they can be wide, and you can see up and down them a long way. Sometimes they're just overgrown with brush and it's not a good place, but it still makes a good listening post, observation post. If the stream isn't a rushing inferno, right, a raging rapid, a lot of times you can hear, right, you can hear people sloshing through water. Having an observation post at an advisable location, right, to protect your home base, you can see up and down creeks, right? You'll watch people on the other side, and they need to go back and forth and find the most advisable place to cross. Now, not everyone's going to have a stream next to their property, which is ideal for water, defense, water, gardening, everything good. They're good and they attract attention, but they also offer a nice defensive perimeter. But you're still going to want to have an observer observing that area, because people can use rivers and trails next to rivers, because animals do as well. Animals go up and down river banks and create great trails that us humans have adopted. Okay, another observation post, terrific, is a road. Roads. Good God, people travel on roads. It's obvious. You may have a heavily trafficked area and you just want to see people coming all day long. You may not be able to hide behind bushes and have everyone not see you. But at least you'll see them. If you're hiding in the bushes on the road, you'll see them long before they get to you. And when they get to you, they might go, oh shit, right, oh shit, you know, you've got them covered. You're covering them, right? Not the other way around. Right, you need to cover them and see them. So roads are great because typically roads are flat, typically roads are straight. And because roads are such an excellent walking surface, people like to use them rather than going on a trail or cross country. Cross country is the most difficult way to get anywhere because broken ground, right, leads to mechanical injuries. You have to be careful. People tend to look down more so they're not looking up, right? Gives you a good chance to see them coming. Roads, people like to make time on roads. So having an observation post near a road, if you've got one within, visual distance, you're going to want to know what's coming down the road. In the last place, this works for the country, it works for the city and everywhere in between. Other buildings, whether it's a barn, an outbuilding, a shed, another home that's next to your home, right? An abandoned home, or one that has recently been vacated due to extenuating circumstances called shit it's the fan, right? This other home, you can have someone on the roof, which is difficult in the summer. It's technically difficult to get up and down. You have good concealment on one side, but you're exposed on the other. And if you stick your head above the ridgeline, it is easily visible against a blue sky unless you're wearing a UN helmet. So I guess that's the best place to be if you've got a UN helmet, is on a roof and just sticking 4 inches of your head up. And that's a joke. Anyways, the roof is not great, but it can work. Being in a second story so that you've got an elevated position from which you can see. You've got curtains which you can use as a concealment, right? A screen, once again, you screen and knock down the reflection coming from you going back out. The best way to know if any of this works, screens, camouflage, is to test it. Put someone out there and then walk up on them and see if you can see them. How easy you can see them. Of course, you know they're there. But when I'm walking down a trail, I'm looking at the bushes and seeing if I see anything. I'm not looking for soldiers. I'm not looking for Viet Cong. I'm looking for mountain lions. I'm looking for wolves. I'm looking for fox. I'm looking for frickin' badgers up in my area. We got those sorts of things. And I want to see them before those bastards see me. Because when a mountain lion takes you down, they don't tickle you. Okay. Anyway, so this is, right, these are your types of areas, observation posts, because you want to protect your home. You want to protect the people here. Odds are you're going to have women and children. You're going to have other people. You may be the most qualified, or you may be the least qualified in your group to defend this. Or you may be the most or least qualified to be in the observation post, right? But it's going to be difficult, especially if you've decided you're going to have one person for the dark and one person for the light. And in the summer months, once again, summer months, the light is longer. Long days, long hot days. In the winter, the nights are going to be longer and freaking colder. Food, shelter, water, clothing. You better have, if you're in that area, the kind of clothing that you can sit out and be cold with no heat source. Not just for observation posts, but in case you can't light a fire or you're out of fuel. In case you're stuck. In case you're injured. You fell down and twisted your frickin' ankle and you just have to stay put and wait for someone to find you. Well, we sent Buck down to get some news at the news outlet, right? A mile away, and Buck walked back and got fucked up, twisted his ankle, and laying in a ditch. You better not freeze to death. Clothing is critical. Okay? Yeah, that's right. And shit, it's the fan. You could still need a get-back bag, right? An emergency get-back bag. So I would recommend you get back to that video I did on bug-out get-back bags. I really enjoyed doing that, and I'm glad that so many people got value out of that. But I wanted everyone to know about observation posts, right? If you just sit back here at your house, on the front porch, on the rocking chair, right? A corncob pipe in your mouth, you're not going to see everyone. You're not going to see everything. You're going to stick out like a sore thumb. You're going to look ridiculous with that corncob pipe in your mouth. And people are going to be able to sneak up and catch up to you, right? You need to have good observation of the surrounding area. You need to have a good defensive strategy. You need to maximize your tools of defense for what is out there. And if you've got 4 people and a gang of 20 come, you're outnumbered. Defense, observation, firepower, it limits you just because you're outnumbered. At the same time, having a good defensive plan, having a great observation post, and awesome fucking firepower may win the day. So do your best. Have everything that you need, right? You're in an observation post, you're going to need food and water. If it's cold enough, you're going to need good clothing, right? Everything we talk about, you need. And an observation post is going to be critical. You could end up having 2, 3, 4 observation posts. You could. Depends on your area. Where are the people? Where are they coming from? Where are they going? How dangerous is everything? Right? If you got a bunch of, crazed wackos, if you've got a bunch of hunters in your area, if you've got other preppers in the area, that all weighs into how you create your defense. And if you've got other preppers in the area and you have a place that has a ditch and a bluff and a forest and a river and a good road, that may be great. You may put 3 or 4 groups together ad hoc after shit hits the fan and say, this is the place to be. We got fucking water right here. Grow a nice garden over here, lots of observation posts, defensible space. That's what you want, is you want to defend your space. And the observation post is going to be key to doing that. Once again, everyone, thank you for sponsoring the channel. Your contributions go a long way to making this doable. It does. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words, the compliments. Someone was kind enough to send 5 cigars. Thank you very much. I appreciate that as well. I'll have to break one of those out here soon. I've got one other cigar left, and it's a $30 cigar sent to me by RDD USA, and they sent it over 2 years ago. And that has been my, when shit hits the fan, I'm going to strike that son of a bitch up and smoke it, because it's a $30 cigar. And when that happens, I'm probably going to need to relax a little bit, and that big old looking Cuban thing is going to go down real nice. Anyways, put in your comments down below. Share with others your thoughts on this, the subject observation post, right? If you've got questions, I'm still kicking around the idea of doing one-on-one through Google Hangouts, Skype, doing one-on-one with people to talk about their particular situations, whether it's defense or food or whatever. Still kicking around those ideas of doing that. What do you guys think? You know, do you want that? Anyways, here we are. This is it. Chance favors the prepared mind, right? Favors the prepared bunker. Are you ready? Right? Are you ready? Thank you very much. Semper Fi. Godspeed.